The cold steel of the knife twisted in my gut one last time. My sister-in-law's manicured nails digging into my shoulder as she whispered, "This is for the family you tried to steal." Blood didn't spray like in the movies. It just welled up slow and hot, soaking my silk blouse while I gasped for air that wouldn't come, staring into her eyes that had once sparkled with fake sisterly warmth. And then, nothing. A void so absolute it made eternity feel like a mercy. Until the blare of my alarm clock yanked me back, my heart slamming against ribs that were whole again. The date on my phone screaming 2018. 7 years before she ended me. I bolted upright in my old Brooklyn apartment bed, the one with the lumpy mattress and the view of the fire escape where I'd once hung Christmas lights with Ethan, my husband-to-be. My hands flew to my stomach, smooth, unscarred. The faded tattoo from our Vegas elopement still fresh ink under my fingers. "Holy shit," I muttered, my voice cracking like I was 25 again, not 32, and dying on that kitchen floor. The mirror across the room showed my face, Brielle Harper, wide-eyed and alive, with the same messy auburn waves and freckles that Ethan always said made me look like a troublemaking redhead from a noir flick. But this wasn't a dream. I'd clawed my way back from the grave, and the bitch who'd put me there, my husband's own sister, Lila, was about to get a front-row seat to hell. That first morning, I didn't waste time on tears or what-ifs. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through the contacts, my thumb hovering over Ethan's name. We'd just started dating back then, fresh off a blind setup from his cousin at a rooftop bar in Williamsburg. He was the golden boy architect, all sharp jawline and easy charm, building eco-skyscrapers while I hustled as a junior editor at a scrappy indie mag. Lila? She was the wild card, the younger sister who'd crashed into our lives like a designer hurricane, always in Louboutins, always with a story about some tech startup she was consulting for, batting her lashes at Ethan like he was her personal ATM. In my first life, I'd chalked it up to sibling rivalry, even defended her when she'd badmouthed me to him. "She's family, babe," I'd say, pouring us wine while she smiled that serpent's grin behind my back. But now, I knew the rot ran deep. The betrayal hadn't been a snap decision. It was a symphony of sabotage she'd composed over years. Starting with the whispers, planting doubts about my gold-digging ambitions when Ethan's firm landed that big contract. Then the forged emails, making it look like I was siphoning funds from our joint account for a non-existent affair. By the time she lured me to that emergency family meeting in their childhood home upstate, the narrative was set. I was the villain, the outsider poisoning their bond. She'd stabbed me not just with a knife, but with Ethan's absence. He'd been too broken by her lies to show up, believing I'd betrayed him first. I texted him. "Coffee? Same spot.
Urgent."
No games. No coy buildup. When he arrived at the cafe on Bedford Avenue, nursing a black Americano like it was his lifeline, I slid into the booth opposite him and locked eyes. "Ethan, listen. Your sister's going to try to ruin us. And I'm not letting her." He laughed. That rich, disbelieving chuckle that always made my knees weak. "Brielle, what the hell, Lila? She's harmless. Last week she was just stressed about her investor pitch." His hand reached for mine, warm and steady. The same hand that would later sign divorce papers in my timeline because of her poison. I squeezed back, fighting the urge to spill it all. The death, the rebirth, the 7 years of watching him spiral into booze and bad decisions after my disappearance. Instead, I started small, testing the waters. "Remember that necklace she lost at your mom's birthday? The one Dad gave her?" His brow furrowed, he nodded. She didn't lose it. She pawned it to cover gambling debts from that poker app she was hooked on.
I
Overheard her on the phone last night. It was a white lie, pulled from the archives of my past life. But it landed like a grenade. Ethan's face drained of color.
What?
No way. She's my little sister.
Bree.
We grew up scraping by after Mom died. Dad worked doubles at the auto shop. She's just impulsive. Impulsive. That's what I'd called it too. Until I found the bank statements in her drawer that final week, siphoned from Ethan's trust fund. The one their dad had set up for family emergencies. She'd gambled it away on crypto scams and underground fight bets. Then framed me for embezzling when the auditors came knocking. The knife was her panic button. A heat-of-the-moment cover-up when I confronted her alone. "Trust me on this," I said, leaning in, my voice low and fierce. "Check her Venmo. Look for the patterns, the late-night transfers to Alex or Vegas nights. If I'm wrong, I'll bake you those damn lavender scones you pretend to hate." He searched my eyes, that architect's precision kicking in, weighing angles I couldn't see. Finally, he nodded. "Okay. For you?"
Yeah.
We kissed goodbye on the sidewalk, his lips tasting like future and forgiveness. And as I watched him jog to the subway, I felt the first real spark of vengeance ignite. This time, I'd build the case brick by brick. No rash moves. Lila thought she was untouchable, the baby of the family with her MBA from Wharton and her network of sleazy venture capitalists. But I had the cheat code, foreknowledge. The next few weeks were a masterclass in controlled chaos. By day, I played the doting girlfriend, weekend hikes in Prospect Park, late-night takeout from that Thai spot on Atlantic, whispering about our dream tiny house in the Hudson Valley. Ethan proposed 6 months early, on a rainy night atop the Brooklyn Bridge, the city lights blurring like tears of joy. "You're my blueprint, Bree," he said, slipping the ring on my finger, a simple emerald-cut diamond that screamed forever. I said yes with a laugh that hid the scream building inside me. By night, I was a ghost in the machine. I created anonymous burner accounts, digging into Lila's digital footprint like a forensic accountant on steroids. Forums for high-stakes poker, Reddit threads on wash trading and crypto, she was neck-deep. Aliases popping up like whack-a-moles. Lucky Lila 88, Silicon Siren. I screenshot everything, time-stamped and tagged, building a dossier thicker than my old slush pile manuscripts. But it wasn't just money. That was the symptom. The secret festering at the core? Their dad hadn't died of a heart attack, like the coroner ruled. Lila had dosed his evening scotch with pills from her anxiety script, fentanyl-laced fakes she'd scored off a dark web contact to cash in on the life insurance sooner. Feeding her habit. She'd confessed it to me in a drunken haze once, back when she thought I was her ally. He was suffering anyway, she'd slurred. I just helped. In my first life, I'd buried that too scared to shatter Ethan.
But now?
It was dynamite. Lila sensed the shift early. She cornered me at a family barbecue in their aunt's backyard in Queens, the air thick with charcoal smoke and Uncle Ray's bad jokes. Ethan was manning the grill, flipping burgers with that focused grin, oblivious for now. She sidled up, her sundress hugging curves bought with borrowed cash, a plastic cup of rose in hand. "So, Brielle," she purred, her voice all honeyed venom. "Ethan says you're worried about me." "What's that about? You trying to play big sis already?" I met her gaze, unflinching, the sun glinting off my engagement ring like a warning shot. Just looking out for family. Lila. You know, the kind that doesn't stab it in the back. Her smile faltered. Just a twitch. But I saw it, the crack in the facade. Stab? Dramatic much? You're the one clawing your way into our legacy. Ethan's the real talent, you're just convenient. The words stung, echoing the gaslighting she'd used to isolate me before. But this time, I leaned closer, my breath ghosting her ear. Convenient like how you were for Dad's policy? Or how you'll be when the feds trace those offshore wires. She jerked back, spilling wine on the grass, her eyes wide as saucers. What the fuck did you just say? Ask your bookie? Alex. He talks when the debts pile up. It was a bluff. Alex was a ghost I'd yet to pin, but it hit home. She stormed off, muttering about crazy bitches, and I watched her text furiously on her phone, probably calling in favors. That night, Ethan came home late from a site visit in Midtown, his tie loosened, exhaustion carving lines around his eyes. Bree, we need to talk. My stomach dropped, visions of my deathbed flashing. Had she gotten to him already? But he pulled out his laptop, screen glowing with Venmo logs, wire transfers, casino receipts. She's been bleeding me dry.
And Dad.
Jesus. The autopsy report I pulled from the county records? It doesn't add up. Elevated talk screen, but they ruled it natural. I wrapped my arms around him as he broke, his sobs muffled against my shoulder. I defended her my whole life, he choked out. What kind of brother am I? The kind who's going to make it right, I whispered, stroking his hair. Together. But vengeance isn't a straight line, it's a maze of moral gray zones. My first controversial call came a week later. I hacked her email, not with some Hollywood keystroke magic, but a phishing link disguised as a congrats on the engagement gift registry invite. Child's play for a girl who'd once debugged her roommate's thesis code in college. Inside, a goldmine, emails to a PI firm, instructions to dig dirt on me, affair allegations, financial discrepancies, anything to make her look unstable. And buried deeper, a chain to her dealer, double the batch. Ethan's trust is tapped out. I didn't tell Ethan about the hack. Instead, I forwarded select bits to an old contact at the Manhattan DA's cybercrimes unit, a favor from a profile I'd written on white-collar fraud. Anonymous tip, I signed it, my conscience twisting like that knife had. Was I breaking the law to enforce it? Hell yes. But Lila had cross lines drawn in blood. Mine was just ink on a screen. The tension ratcheted up like a thriller score building to crescendo. Lila escalated. Of course, showing up at Ethan's office unannounced. Tears streaming. Spinning tales of my jealous paranoia. He called me from the lobby. Voice strained. She's here?
Bree.
Says you're trying to turn me against her. What do I do? Record it, I said, heart pounding. Everything. And remember the logs.
He did.
The audio captured her meltdown, please turning to accusations. A slip about Dad's accident that hung in the air like smoke. When he played it for me later, over takeout lo mein in our cramped kitchen, we sat in stunned silence. She's unraveling, he said. Fork paused midair. But why me? Why us? Because you're the anchor she resents. I thought. The successful brother. The one who escaped the cycle without her help.
Aloud.
I said. She's scared we'll expose her. And we will if she doesn't stop. But stopping wasn't in Lila's DNA. 2 days later, she made her move, a fake emergency call from our landline, luring Ethan to the upstate house while I was at a deadline crunch. My phone buzzed mid-sentence in the newsroom, his text, stuck in traffic. Lila says it's urgent. Something about inheritance papers. Panic clawed my throat. This was it. The echo of my death. I dropped everything, hailing a cab to Penn Station, boarding the first Amtrak north. The train rattled like my nerves. Every mile marker a countdown. I'd packed light, phone, pepper spray, a USB drive with a full dossier. No knife this time. I wasn't her. But as the suburbs blurred into forests, doubts crept in. What if I was wrong? What if this rebirth was a hallucination? And I was the unhinged one, torching a family on ghosts? By the time I pulled up in a rideshare, gravel crunching under tires like bones snapping, the house loomed dark against the twilight, its Victorian gables mocking me with memories. Ethan's car was in the drive, but no lights inside. I crept to the side door, the one that stuck in winter, my key still from that first life when we'd renovated it together. Inside, the kitchen smelled of stale coffee and regret, the same linoleum where I'd bled out. Voices from the study, low.
Urgent.
Lila's, sharp as shattered glass. You think she's so perfect? She's using you.
Ethan.
I saw the emails. She's been shopping for apartments in the city. Alone. A pause. Then Ethan's voice. Steady but edged. Enough. Lila. The money. The lies. It's over. We're going to the police. Her laugh. Brittle and wild. Police? For what? A little sisterly help? Dad would have wanted. I burst and then, door slamming like Judgment Day. USB thrust forward like Excalibur. Wanted you to murder him? For a payout to feed your addiction. The room froze. Ethan whirled, relief flooding his face. Lila spun, her makeup smudged. A half-empty pill bottle on the desk, fentanyl knockoffs. Same as before. You, she hissed, lunging not with a knife but with fists, nails raking my arm in a frenzy that drew pinpricks of blood. No gore, just the raw animal of desperation. Ethan pulled her off, pinning her arms as she thrashed. Stop. What the hell is wrong with you? I plugged in the drive, projecting the files onto the wall-mounted TV, bank trails, emails, autopsy discrepancies glowing like indictments. This is what's wrong. You killed Dad. You framed me.
And tonight?
You tried again. Her eyes darted, calculating escapes. But the fight drained out as sirens wailed distant. Ethan had hit record on his phone the second I'd entered, and a quick text to 911 sealed it. Cops swarmed 20 minutes later, cuffs clicking like karma's applause. In the aftermath, as they led her away screaming denials, Ethan turned to me, his world shattered. How did you know? All of it. I hesitated. The truth, a chasm, reincarnation,
Death.
a love that looped through hell. Instead, I cupped his face, thumbs brushing tears. Because I couldn't lose you. Not again. We drove back to the city in silence, the dawn breaking over the Hudson like a promise scrubbed clean. But rebirth isn't a fairy tale, it's a debt collector knocking twice. The weeks after Lila's arrest blurred into a fever dream of depositions and therapy sessions, Ethan's hand in mine like a lifeline fraying at the edges. The hidden truth I'd unearthed didn't just shock the family, it detonated it. Aunt Ray disowned Lila publicly on Facebook, a viral post that read like a soap opera cliffhanger. Blood doesn't buy loyalty when it's poisoned. The tabloids ate it up. Heiress slay, architect's sister accused in father's accident death, splashing our faces across page 6. turning our quiet life into a spectacle. I played the hero in Ethan's eyes, the fierce fiancé who'd instinctively known to dig. But guilt gnawed at me like termites in drywall. That hack, it was the linchpin, evidence the DA praised as citizen journalism at its finest. Yet every night, as Ethan tossed beside me, murmuring about trust funds and toxicology reports, I stared at the ceiling, replaying Lila's wild eyes. Had I pushed too hard? Made her cornered animal snap sooner? The controversial decisions piled up like unpaid bills. First, the plea deal. Lila's lawyer, a Slick Park Avenue shark named Hargrove, offered a mountain of mitigating evidence: her severe bipolar undiagnosed, childhood trauma from mom's cancer battle, impulse under duress. Ethan wanted to fight, to see her rot in Sing Sing for attempted murder on top of the manslaughter charge. She tried to kill you, Bree, he growled over breakfast burritos at our new loft in Dumbo, the waterfront view mocking our storm. But I saw the long game. And what then? Years of appeals. Headlines dragging your name through the mud? Dad's memory turned into a circus. I paused, fork scraping ceramic. Let her take the deal. 15 years. No parole. It's justice without the spectacle. He searched my face, hurt flickering like a bad signal. You're defending her? After everything? Not defending. Protecting us. It was half-truth. The other half was mercy I didn't owe, but couldn't shake. In my first life, I died hating her, a black hole of rage. This time, exposing the addiction's root, her dealer's ledger I'd anonymously tipped to narcotics, felt like cauterizing the wound. Controversial? To Ethan.
Yeah. To me?
It was the razor edge between revenge and redemption. He agreed, reluctantly, signing off on the deal in a sterile conference room that smelled of stale coffee and regret. Lila, in orange jumpsuit and shackles, met my eyes across the table. No mania now, just hollow defeat. You win, Brielle, she whispered as guards led her out. But Ethan's blood, it's mine too. Her words lingered like smoke, seeding doubts. Was the betrayal deeper? A twin secret? Perhaps rumors I'd dismissed before about their dad's affairs. A possible half-sibling dynamic twisted into codependence. No time to chase ghosts. Wedding plans steamrolled ahead. A small ceremony at City Hall followed by a reception in a loft space overlooking the East River. I walked down the aisle in a simple lace gown. Ethan's vow, in blueprints and breakdowns, "You're my constant," hitting harder than any hook. Honeymoon in the Keys was bliss interrupted. A manila envelope arrived at our beachfront cabana. No return address. Inside, grainy photos of me from 7 years future. Me. Alive? No, staged shots from my disappearance. Police sketches labeled Jane Doe. Unsolved stabbing. A note in block print. You think it's over? Watch your back.
Ed.
My blood iced. Lila. From lockup? Or her network, Alex the bookie. Still loose. Or Hargrove's firm with its shady retainers. I burned the photos in a conch shell over a bonfire. Waves crashing like accusations, but paranoia rooted deep. Back in Brooklyn, I ramped up surveillance. Home security cams. A concealed carry permit. New York's red tape be damned. I cited the attempt. Even a PI of my own. A grizzled ex-cop named Frankie who chain-smoked Camels and called me kid like I was green. Frankie's report dropped a month later. Over greasy diner eggs. Your sis-in-law? She's got tentacles. That dealer? Busted last week. But he rolled on a bigger fish, Russian money launderers tied to her crypto plays. And get this, the PI she hired on you? Same firm tailed your hubby pre-wedding. Stalking level. Stalking. Ethan echoed, paling as we huddled in Frankie's booth. Rain lashing the windows.
Worse.
They had dossiers on your in-laws too, old skeletons, like your pop's union beefs back in the 90s. Frankie slid a thumb drive across. Your call.
Kid.
Feds or forget it. Forget it? Not with Lila's note echoing. I chose the feds. Anonymously again. Funneling the drive through a proxy server I'd learned in my editor days covering cyber leaks. Controversial move number 2, withholding from Ethan. No need to drag him deeper, I told Frankie, who shrugged with world-weary wisdom. Lies of omission, they bite back.
Kid. They did.
Cracks showed in our marriage like stress fractures in concrete. Ethan buried himself in work, pitching a sustainable high-rise to Dubai investors, coming home to microwave dinners and my distracted kisses. You're pulling away, he said one night, wine glass trembling in his hand. Is it the trial? Or me? I climbed into his lap, the leather couch creaking under us, and kissed him fierce, tasting salt of unspoken fears. It's us against the world.
Babe.
Always. We made love slow and desperate, bodies mapping familiar territories. But as he slept, I slipped out to the balcony, scrolling dark web alerts for Silicon Siren. A hit. Encrypted chat logs. Lila coordinating from prison via smuggled burner. Plots for witness intimidation. A hit on loose ends like me. The climax brewed like a nor'easter. Ethan's big pitch was in Manhattan. A glitzy gala at the Rainbow Room. Skyline glittering like fool's gold. I was his arm candy in emerald silk. Schmoozing VCs while Lila's shadow loomed, Frankie texted mid-cocktail hour. Eyes on you. Black SUV. Plates from upstate. Abort? No abort. This was the stage for Act 3. I excused myself to the ladies' lounge, heart hammering, and waited. Footsteps echoed, 2 goons, thick-necked and tattooed. Hargrove's muscle, no doubt. Mrs. Harper, the taller grunted, blocking the door. Boss lady wants a word. Outside. I smiled. All teeth. Palming the pepper spray in my clutch. Tell Lila happy anniversary. And that debts get collected, with interest. They lunged. But I was faster, spray first, knee to groin second. Chaos erupted, screams drawing security. Ethan bursting in like a avenging angel. His architect's calm shattered into fury. Brielle. Cops swarmed again, zip-tying the idiots as they wheezed on the marble floor. Hargrove arrived in a panic, sputtering legalese. But the feds were already en route, my anonymous tips bearing fruit. In the holding room, as Ethan held me, ice packs on my knuckles, the twist dropped like a hammer. A fed, stone-faced and buzz-cut, pulled us aside. Your tip on the launders? It cracked wide. But here's the kicker. Lila wasn't the architect. Your father-in-law? He set it up decades ago. Union kickbacks funneled into shellcore. She just inherited the mess. And the pills? His idea. To fake a terminal diagnosis for sympathy payout. Ethan staggered. World tilting. Dad?
No.
He was the good guy. Good guys get dirty hands sometimes, the Fed said flatly. Evidence in her cell, letters from him. Blueprints for the con. She flipped on him posthumously to save her skin. The hidden truth, betrayal wasn't just blood. It was legacy. A rot passed down like heirlooms. Lila hadn't killed out of greed alone. She'd been groomed. A pawn in Dad's empire of shadows.
My death.
collateral in her desperate bid to protect the family fortune. Ethan vomited in the precinct bathroom, and I held his hair, whispering nonsense about fresh starts. But inside, the reincarnation's weight crushed me. I'd come back for revenge, but the target had multiplied, ghosts of good intentions gone toxic. We drove home at dawn, the Brooklyn Bridge a steel scar against the sky. "What now?" he asked, voice raw.
Now?
"We burn it down. All of it. No more omissions." I told him everything, not the death. Not yet. But the hacks, the tips, the moral tightrope I'd walked. His silence stretched miles. But when we parked, he pulled me close. "You're my chaos theory."
Free.
Unpredictable. But home. Revelations like that don't fade. They metastasize, turning every mirror into a funhouse of what-ifs. Ethan dove into the abyss, hiring his own lawyers to untangle Dad's web, offshore accounts frozen, properties seized, the high-rise pitch collapsing under ethical audits. "I built my life on his shadow," he confessed during a midnight walk along the promenade. Wind whipping off the harbor. How do I trust my own foundations? I had no pat answers. Just the echo of my second chance. Trust was rebuilt, not reborn. We sold the loft, downsizing to a brownstone in Bed-Stuy, cozy chaos with exposed brick and a backyard garden where I planted lavender. A nod to those scones I'd promised. Therapy became our religion. Sessions with a no-bullshit shrink named Dr. Patel, who called out my vigilante vibes and Ethan's legacy paralysis. Progress was incremental. Date nights at jazz dives in the village. Weekend drives to the Berkshires, where we'd hike trails lined with ferns, talking futures untainted by pasts. But Lila's ghost prowled. From Rikers. She sent letters, first vitriolic screeds blaming me for stealing her brother, then piteous pleas for visits. To explain, Ethan burned the first batch in our fireplace. Flames dancing like accusations. "She doesn't get redemption," he said, poker face hardening. Yet I caught him staring at the last one, envelope unopened on his drafting table. My own demons stirred too. Nightmares of the knife returned, but twisted. Now it was my hand wielding it, plunging into shadows that wore Dad's face. Reincarnation's gift soured, foreknowledge bred hubris. What if I'd let the first timeline play out? Would Ethan have grieved me into growth, emerging stronger without my meddling? Controversial decision 3. I reached out to Lila. Not for absolution, but intel. A supervised visit at the prison, chain link and buzzers amplifying the surreal. She looked smaller in person, scrubs hanging loose, hair stripped of its salon sheen. "Come to gloat. Golden girl," she sneered, but her eyes, haunted, like Ethan's after the Fed's bomb, betrayed cracks. No gloat. Answers. I slid a legal pad across the table. Dad's operation. How deep? And why me? Why the knife? Her laugh was a rasp. You? You were the wild card. Snooping too close that night you found the statements. Thought you were like Mom, soft, meddling. But Dad. He built it for us. Union bosses shaking down contractors. He flipped the script. Skimmed the skim. Taught me everything. The pills? Mercy kill. Yeah. But also exit strategy. Cancer was coming for him, anyway. I leaned in, voice steel. And the frame job? The stab. Panic. You confronted me, waving those printouts like a crusader. I blacked out, pills and rage. Woke up with you gone. Blood everywhere. Told Ethan you ran after stealing more. Clean slate. She shrugged, but tears tracked mascara. Family first.
Brielle.
Always was. The twist within the twist. She wasn't scheming alone. Dad's letters. She'd smuggled copies, blueprints not just for buildings, but cons, with notes to protect the legacy at all costs. Lila had been his executor. The knife her final. Fatal edit. I left with more questions, but a seed of pity. She'd been forged in the same fire that scarred us all. Back home, I confronted Ethan with the copies, spread on our kitchen island like autopsy slides. She was his weapon. We dismantle it together, or it owns us. He traced a blueprint line. Jaw set. Then we expose it. Full audit. Donate the assets to anti-corruption orgs. No more shadows. The climax of my revenge wasn't a blaze of glory. It was bureaucratic Armageddon. We lawyered up. Turning whistleblower, press conference in a stuffy midtown conference room. Flashes popping like gunfire. The Harper legacy, from corruption to cleansing, the Times headlined, Ethan's statement raw, my father's sins end with me. Transparency is the only foundation worth building on. Assets liquidated. Millions to victims' funds. The upstate house raised for a community center, irony's sharpest cut. Lila watched from her cell. Trial fast-tracked to 20 years after her flip on the Russians, cooperating witness. Reduced from murder one. She wrote once more, you won. But blood calls to blood. Forgive? I didn't reply. Forgiveness was Ethan's to grant, not mine. Our life rebuilt in the rubble. 2 years on. I quit editing for a true crime podcast. Second acts, interviewing survivors of betrayal, catharsis disguised as career. Ethan designed pro bono, affordable housing in the Bronx. Green roofs blooming like defiant hope. We adopted a mutt named Karma, who chewed shoes with gleeful abandon, and talked kids, maybe, when the dust settled. One autumn evening, leaves carpeting Dumbo streets like confetti, Ethan proposed a toast on our stoop, bourbon glinting amber. To you,
Bree.
the woman who defended me when I couldn't. I clinked glasses, throat tight.
To us.
And the truths that set us free. But as stars pricked the sky, a final hook twisted. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A voice message. Distorted but familiar. Lila?
No. Deeper. Gravelly.
Mrs. Harper, this is Alex. Your sister-in-law? She left a package. For when you're ready. I deleted it, blocking the line. Some debts never collect fully, they simmer. A tension chord humming beneath the happy ending. Rebirth taught me that revenge isn't closure, it's evolution. I died own, betrayed by the family I'd fought to join.
Now.
Alive and scarred, I chose the fight that mattered. Building, not breaking. Ethan pulled me inside, door clicking shut on the night. In the warm glow of our home, with his arms around me, I finally exhaled. The knife's ghost vanished, not by vengeance, but by the life we'd forged from its shadow. And if the past whispered, I'd shout back louder.